This is a regular meeting of the mayor and council, and notice was given as follows. Notice was filed March 20, 2023, in the New York Star Ledger, both official newspapers of the borough. Notice was posted on the bulletin board. Copies preserved in the clerk's office. Pledge of allegiance and moment of silence will be brought to you by Councilman Park. Councilman Park.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Yeah. Okay. Great. Before we start with the adoption of minutes, I would like to take a moment to congratulate our very intricate and important community in Palisades Park, the Jewish community, for Yom Kippur. Today is the day of the atonement. It is the holiest of all days, so I want to say congratulations, and I hope you guys celebrated well. Please go ahead and do the adoption of minutes.
Adoption of minutes, we have several sets of minutes, they were all sent to you via email. I did not make hard copies because these are, I will read them off. Special meeting of the Mayor and Council for June 15, 2023. Work session, regular meeting, closed session of the Mayor and Council for June 26. Special meeting, closed session of the Mayor and Council, June 29th. Special meeting, closed session of the Mayor and Council, July 12th. Special meeting, closed session of the Mayor and Council, July 19th. Work session, regular meeting, July 24th.
Great. Well, would the borough attorney recognize that Councilman Ricci has joined us? Thank you. Great. I have a motion to, of course, these minutes will be available at the clerk's office, is that correct? Is there a motion to adopt? May I have a motion to adopt the minutes?
Make a motion.
Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Jay? Here. Yes. Ken?
Yes.
Min?
Yes.
Park?
Yeah.
Clara?
I had several emergencies during these special meetings, so I'd like to abstain. I'm not really sure of the totality of the minutes.
And Dietrich?
Yes.
Great. Let's continue with our consent agenda. Before we start, Counselor, concerning resolution 2023-198 claims, there's nothing to discuss anything any further. I would like to take it off consent. May I have a motion to take this off consent?
I'll make the motion.
Roll call? A second, second?
Second.
Roll call.
Jay? Yes. Kim?
Yeah.
Min?
Yes.
Park?
Yes.
Clara?
I'm sorry, what are we taking off?
Oh, sorry, it's
Bills?
2023-198 claims.
The claims. Put them off consent agenda.
Okay, discussion.
Yeah.
Dietrich?
Yes.
Now, let's discuss about a resolution. Would you, go ahead?
So on the consent agenda, I have 199.
Wait, the consent agenda, we have to vote on this.
The workshop, isn't it?
No, today's regular session.
Oh, that's right,
Right.
just voting. However, we do not have resolutions 204 through 207 here.
Understood, so we should do it, because you have to finalize the resolution on the board.
Mayor, we could either, to the extent we can discuss in public, as you alluded, I think by email, we can try to clarify the various actions.
Yes.
Or if there's anything that requires, legal advice or detail in executive session, but, we will need this information in order to make sure that those actions are properly addressed.
I did send an email to March and to you, I believe, concerning, trying to answer the questions. Let's clear out all the resolutions here, in the consent agenda before we vote. 2023-204, authorization to hire an independent auditor. As you guys know, at the work session, we approved it. The councils need details on it. This is for an independent auditor, to address the discrepancy that the council members found out in the budget. And,
Bond.
yeah, the bond, I'm sorry, the bond, yeah. Well, I'm not sure if we do an RFQ on this, is when you come in, explain about the differences between RFQ and RFP.
Sure, certainly, Mayor. I know that in terms of procurement, there were some questions that arose. So there are different means of completing a procurement under the local public contracts law. A request for an RFP or a request for bids is the mechanism you would use for a contract that's required to be a low bid contract. For example, if you were going out to get a contractor to pave roadway, that would be a low bid contract. A construction contract, low bid contract, that's a request for bids. When you're dealing with procurements that are either professional services or for another reason are exempt from bidding, or certain types of procurements that you can complete under the competitive contracting protocols, which can include concessions and some other things, you can go out for an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications. And in those instances, vendors provide you with a proposal, but the governing body doesn't have to award to a low bidder because the qualifications of the individual are taken into account in a more holistic way than just a low bid. So those are really the differences, Mayor, between an RFQ and an RFP.
RFP, right?
And an RFP is similar to an RFQ. An RFQ, sometimes the terms are used interchangeably, but a qualification, sometimes you can qualify different vendors. Proposals, you can request different proposals. It really depends on the type of service and what the governing body is looking to get.
Yeah, I know you're trying your best to, define the differences, but correct me if I'm wrong, the RFQ would require qualifications. For example, if I graduated with a science major and we want a doctor, even though he could apply for that, he doesn't really qualify for our specification looking for a doctor, right?
Sure, I think, in the vein of, an independent auditor, you would be looking for someone who has an RMA, the relevant certifications to assist the, borough with auditing. And that's why professional services under the local public contracts law, that definition covers professionals that have a particularized license. So your attorney, your engineer, architects, your auditor, they all fall into those categories where there's no bidding applied because you hire them based upon their skill set, not necessarily their qualification.
It gets real deep. I try to study it myself. This is why we rely on the borough attorney to advise us, and we will listen to what he has to say. So if you could advise us concerning resolution, back to resolution 2023, -204, hire independent auditor, what specific information do you need from the governing body, or the DA?
I think, Mayor, whether you're looking to go out, in a formal bidding process, and if you are, what the proposed scope of work is, and what the necessary qualifications of the party to complete the work would be. And then that information can, be used by the administrator clerk, myself, to, prepare the necessary proposal. And if you're using the formal process, you typically advertise it in a newspaper, and 10 days thereafter, the bids would be due, so that it's an open process.
Are you referring to the RFQ or the RFP procedure?
In either instance.
Either one.
Either one.
This is why I'm glad that we have an attorney. Yes, go ahead.
Unless I'm wrong, the Roy explained about the mishap on that one case. Is that enough or?
No, Roy did not really explain it all. Councilman, would you share?
Hold on.
Wait, can I have this open discussion?
Yeah, we're gonna have to stop talking about employee public.
Yeah, if we're talking about the specifics of, anything that could be in the realm of,
We're talking about their duties, their
We're
job.
talking about an employee, well, it has to be right, so he is.
We're talking about the bond, we're not talking about the employee right now.
So I have a
let's
question, not about an
let's get
employee.
into the bond.
Can I
I'm
ask,
not an
can
employee
I ask
either.
a question,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
So, there seems to be the understanding that somebody on the council or the mayor or somebody thinks that something inappropriate has happened. We already have an independent auditor, obviously Wilcox. not a independent audit. We're going to duplicate an independent audit. We already have an independent audit, so that's just wasted money against money. If you're trying to see if something was misappropriated, if something was done incorrectly, I would think then it would be our responsibility to get a forensic audit. Am I wrong?
Well, can I ask,
Absolutely,
answer
go
your
ahead.
question? Okay, Councilwoman Rivera, if I can answer your, you know, to that, back in March, our, auditor, Wilcox, actually sent us the email, to our CFO, saying that that PO for that bond, right, for the body cam, you can't pay using the funds that are, in 2023. So it has to be a separate PO, but even with that, it actually, you know, the ordinance has been written in July. So, if I go back to that, right, Wilcox actually made the correct decision back then. So, the procedure matter, right? The bond has been written back in July. So, where can I get the right answer?
I would think from a forensic auditor. So you're saying that the auditor we have, the independent auditor gave us the correct information and said that it had to be done separately. So why would we need another independent auditor? Do you understand the difference between an independent auditor and a forensic auditor? A forensic auditor comes in if you think that something has been done, and then they give us proof. They have the burden of that proof to say that something was done inappropriately. If they say nothing was done inappropriately, then I guess the subject is closed. But to get another independent auditor, you're just duplicating what you already have. He's gonna say the same as what I assume the independent auditor told us, which you're saying within the notes, and we all saw right back then when we got the email. So I would think if the question is that there's a questionable action that has happened, or a procedure, then you would need a forensic auditor. You would not need an independent auditor, because I don't really understand what that's going to do. Because if you went to probably a court of law, and you don't have a forensic audit to say that something was wrong, it's just another independent auditor who's gonna give the same exact note, or the same question, or say that something hadn't been followed. I have been through hundreds of audits in 33 years, and when there's something that's been misappropriated or incorrect in any large projects or purchases, then you bring in a forensic auditor to see where the mistake was made. So for us to vote to hire another independent auditor, well, I can't vote for that. But if you think something is wrong, then we should have a forensic auditor come in. And we should have him go in and see what happened. Where was it done wrong? Where is the procedure correct?
Has anybody spoken to Wilcox? That would be the first step, to talk to the auditor, find out what's going on. I mean, before you guys start spending money, ask me to call Wilcox and say, hey, give me a report on what you guys feel is appropriate, not appropriate.
Okay, so,
And then he's gonna recommend.
obviously, you guys want to use the internal source.
He can't prove his own work, so if he feels
I
like there's
just
something
really
there.
wanna know if we
This
should
is
go down.
something that involves a lot of elements in the business running of the borough. This is the reason why the council members already voted on. It's too late to go back, it's already there to vote on, it's already been voted. And secondly, if it wasn't for the efforts that's given by Councilman Min and Stephanie Jag, all right? We would have passed a double bond of $350,000, $375 or something like that. Now it's non-existent. We don't even know why.
Again, nobody's questioning that, Paul.
Listen to me, the problem is if we didn't do that, if we didn't, okay. If we didn't
So
do
when
it.
you voted on something already, if you're doing it incorrectly, we
We-
should just continue to do
No,
it
not
incorrectly?
exactly, we're gonna follow the votes of the council members, all right, and we're gonna get an RFQ to get a,
To get an independent auditor, when in fact, all the
It's- we're gonna-
taxpayers who are sitting here are just gonna waste
The
their money.
taxpayer
on
just saved
duplication.
$372,000, okay?
Do you respect anybody's professional opinion? Because you know what, I've been a
I
professional
think,
for a
I
lot of years.
respect the opinion of the
I'm
governing
trying
body.
to tell you the truth, to get a forensic auditor, don't get
Okay,
it, I'm not
anyways,
telling you not
If
to
you
get
want
an
the
auditor.
details on it, I think we're going to start it off, the RFQ to hire a certified,
You showed me very well.
independent auditor who has experience doing independent, yearly auditing in any other municipalities. I could find a dozen.
Anybody can find a dozen, because that is something completely
All right,
different than
so
what
that's
we're
the-
doing.
I have a question.
Before, I just, as the administrator, I have to put on the record, did anybody speak to the auditor?
You can speak with the auditor.
Did you speak to the auditor?
I did.
Did you speak to the auditor? Did you speak, did
Oh,
anybody
I
here
have-
speak to the auditor?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
No, the answer's no, no one spoke to the auditor?
We saw, this has been going for over 25 years. We had a same, CFO, we had a same, auditor company. And, we try to, make everything go smooth. I think it's a very good idea to bring, independent, auditor who doesn't have anything to do with our town, to see something, if there's anything is not really, correctly done. And I don't think it's late to go with the forensic auditor at that time. So I wish we could start just making, you know, if someone recommends some other person who doesn't have anything to do with our town says it is really well done. That's what we are hoping. So I think when we are getting the independent, auditor, special auditor, you don't have to feel bad at all. You know, if we did everything correctly, why? So I think, as a citizen of Palisades Park and also representative of people that, you know, sometimes we could save a lot more money too. You know, if, we find something that could be, adjusted or go in a better way. So, you know, that's what I believe, so I am going to vote for it.
Thank you. Councilman, okay, Councilman Beach, go ahead.
I'd like to know if I could make a motion to table that.
Second.
Wait a minute, it already been passed.
No, it's not that. Nothing's
Nothing's
there.
passed. I could make a motion.
Wow, so I see what's going on.
Oh, you see what's going on, I see what's going on, too.
I see what's going on.
Paul, you better be very careful right now, because I gave you a professional opinion, so don't you start saying things like, I see what's going on.
I'm gonna advise on the
It's a
Robert's
warning.
rules, if there's a motion and a second to table, there should be a roll call vote, Mayor, without discussion.
Go ahead.
Jane,
No.
Ken,
Yes.
Min,
No.
Tark,
No.
Kara,
Yes.
Petrie,
Yes.
I'll say no.
Motion fails.
Can we please pass this resolution? Can we please get this done?
Yeah, I wanna make a motion.
It's already dead, we already did that.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
There has not been a motion.
No, we've made a motion in working session at the
This is the
recording.
meeting, Paul.
No, you can do that
Oh,
in
yes,
working
yes,
session
we
as
need to
well.
make a motion
I'll
and
make a
have a
motion.
second,
Mr.
and then
Attorney,
I'll
I'm
go
sorry
for
to
it.
defer this.
The work session is to tee up the agenda.
Right, so
Unfortunately,
he's gonna make
there
the
was
motion.
insufficient guidance to have a resolution prepared. And we could tell from the discussion here that we're still framing the item. I would just, if the motion is going to move forward to issue an RFQ, the only thing I can think from my perspective that would be helpful is to understand, are you looking for another firm to perform your annual audit, which is required under state law, which is typically for a fixed sum of money? Or are you looking for an auditor to perform certain functions on more of an hourly basis based upon what the governing body thinks is something that's of concern that you want them to look at?
Yes, it
The
needs,
latter.
it's just like a rabbit hole, we wanna make sure that where this all started, which means that it will start with the bond, how that is.
So specific to the bond.
No, not yet, and then what else, Councilman, would you wanted to discuss about the bond, about the bond?
When this resolution get passed, right? I'd like to start off from this bond, if the proper procedure has been taken of this bond. And then, from there, you know, I just noticed, today, yesterday, the email actually has been sent out from the, CFO saying that this has been actually canceled, the whole bond. But then, when the ordinance has been written for the purpose, when you cancel, this is a question to you, Mike. When you cancel this bond, right, do you have to rewrite the bond? As we canceled for, you know, for the reason.
I think the,
Do we have to
if I
leave
may-
the record to cancel?
If I may, we went all the way up to the second reading, That bond was about to pass, it wasn't for you guys.
Hold on,
Let me
hold on.
finish, please. So you're asking if we went all the way to the second meeting, right? Do we just forget about it, or is there a procedure where you close it?
Right. I'm sorry, so the question is about a bond ordinance that
So
never
I
received final
think the
legal.
confusion is, there was two bonds, as I understand it. There was initial bond which was put forward, which the auditor said that those body cams should not be purchased from that bond.
That's right.
That bond was subsequently canceled, and a new bond was put forward to make the payments for that bond.
When was that notice given?
So which one you talking about? The new one was the one you were trying to vote on a month or so ago, last month, whatever it was. Which one you talking about being canceled?
Well, the bond cap.
Which one? There's two. There's two of them.
There's first and the second.
That's where I think the confusion is.
July was the introduction, right?
That was the second bond, correct?
Second bond.
Yes.
No.
There was initially a bond put forward.
No, it was the first bond.
No.
It was mistakenly written as a second ordinance. So I called
He
it.
corrected it. Gina,
I think you're getting
the
confused.
borough clerk said it was a second meeting.
The second reading is not the second bond, so second reading, yes, that was put up. But
But
there
we
was,
have a same.
Yes, we know that there was two bonds.
there was two bonds.
Yes,
First
we
one was
know.
canceled, right, which never got canceled, there was a email confusion or something. And when the second one to replace that was the one that was put forward in July or August, yeah.
Canceled?
No, June, there was no bond regarding body cam back in June.
Prior to that.
Prior to that, when was
I
that?
don't have the paperwork in front of me, so.
Was it a bond from a previous year?
Yeah.
So it was a bond from a previous year?
How about this?
Because bear in mind,
Wait a minute. Bond from previous year?
So my
the auditors go to court from last year,
And that's
the
exactly
audit was
what
for
happened.
the past year.
That's exactly what happened.
And
So I think there is some confusion, probably due to lack of experience as to the bonds that they're talking about. My understanding, in dealing with the CFO and the auditor, is that last year when these body cams were purchased, because the body cams were not purchased 2 months ago, they were purchased last year. My understanding was they were purchased, and the, payment for that body cam system was taken from a bond that was in place. And when we were audited, which happens every year, the auditor said, that's not the right bond. It should go to another bond, which created what we have in front of us, which was never passed yet. I don't believe that bond was passed, right? So that's what is on the table right now. The first bond should have been canceled. My understanding is the email didn't get to whoever it had to get to, and it was not canceled. Okay, but it's inactive because the money wasn't charged to it. So it's either take it from this hand or this hand. So, that's my understanding. I could be dead wrong.
yeah, so
That's my understanding. The auditor and the
Okay, question,
Please go ahead.
the bond can be,
You got it.
authorized and can be canceled by a CFO only?
No.
No, so we're asking currently that, we are not supposed to cancel or not with, CFO does not have any authority to cancel. That's what the, Mr.
if I could just interject,
Min is telling.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mayor, may I just clarify?
Yeah,
Councilman Kim, go ahead.
so when I said, the emails that we got from our CFO, my understanding was what you just told me. So if that's true,
That's how I
we are just
understand it.
fighting for nothing. We are
No,
just
actually, that's
arguing
not
for
true,
nothing.
that's not true. Anyways, this is not the point to discuss this, we wanna finalize a resolution, the resolution is it was a start from the bond that occurred concerning specifically the body cams, whether it's this year or last year. Is that okay with you?
Why
No?
can't we
Well,
get?
yes,
Please, go ahead.
resolution
Stop.
is motion is made? Yes, right?
I wanna make a motion.
I was hoping to clarify, but understood if I'm.
No, we're about to,
Understood.
okay, please,
Nobody
go
wants
ahead.
clarification, let's just take a vote. Well, you don't want clarification. You don't want discussion,
You're not
you
helping
don't want
right now, thank you very much.
I'm being honest.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, let's
I'd
just
like
go.
the borough attorney to explain what was asked to him about the bond.
Okay, we're ready to get into that.
Do you want to have
Why
your
don't you
counsel?
talk? Go ahead.
Sure, just following up on what the administrator said earlier. I'm not familiar with the specifics because I was not here last year, but typically every year a municipality has an audit done for the prior year to determine if there were any issues that were flagged. every audit typically has different findings, which are things that are identified that may not have been done correctly, and that they're flagged so that they can be rectified. In this instance, if there was a bond that was used and then the CFO later determined was not to be used, bear in mind that just because when you adopt a bond ordinance, let's say you voted on one tonight for $2 million, it doesn't mean that $2 million of debt are issued the next day. There needs to be an issuance of the bond and the sale. And if the CFO is of the position that the bond is canceled, I can assure you that the bond is not going to be issued because your bond attorney wouldn't be able to sign off on the necessary certifications. No bond gets issued unless a lot of forms are signed. So if it is administratively canceled, that is sufficient to, I can assure the governing body that no further debt will be issued under that authorization. If you wanted us to look internally to see if there was a desire to repeal the ordinance out of an abundance of caution, we could certainly look into that. That would be, you know, an appropriate step there, but I think beyond that, I would definitely try to understand the audit findings from the current auditor, and then from there, if there's a further desire to look at it, you can look at it from there.
Thank you. Let's get back to the resolution now. My gosh. Let's vote on this. Go ahead, last.
Just one question. Mr. PA, for our executive budget report, when should we get that? Because it's almost October,
I'll talk to the CFO. I'll talk to the CFO.
but what is the usual cycle?
It's usually October.
October.
Yeah.
So last year, 2022, the budget that we used, the after effect report takes 9 months
Yeah.
to give us a report. Is it usual?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. I just want to clarify the question that I gave to the borough administrator. You said that you did not talk to our, White Hawk, internal.
Well, the last conversation I had with Wilcox, he was waiting for one item to prepare and finalize the budget report that she's referring to.
What was that?
Last conversation.
What was that?
A week or so ago?
We did not mention about,
I haven't spoken to him about the bond issue.
no?
Nope, have not.
Did you meet with him just individually? Did you get a
Nope,
phone call?
have not met him, have not spoken to him about that, no, I have not.
Cause I've been told that you had a big meeting with Wilcox.
Well, you've been told wrong, Paul, once again. So if you have information when I met with Wilcox, please identify that.
Okay.
Please, identify. Because I haven't spoken to Steve Wilcox in a long time, and the last conversation was over, him looking for a letter from our council to finalize his budget report.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, good.
So if you have that information, Paul, because you're on the record now,
Well, no.
please bring forward that information, because I'm telling you, you're not telling the truth if that's the case. Because I haven't met with Wilcox, and I didn't have a big meeting with him.
Did you say I've heard?
No, you
said
said,
I've heard.
you heard that.
Please
Okay,
don't
so
argue with me.
I'm just
I'm asking a
clarifying
simple
your statement,
question,
and
you
I'm
give me a
giving you a
simple
simple
answer.
answer.
No, you're not.
I say yes.
No, you're
I
not.
have
You're
not
accusing
met
me
with
that I'm
Steve.
lying to you.
You are. Please continue, Mayor.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so we're gonna start, resolution is to start the special audit to investigate from the police academy. Is that okay with you? There's a motion on the table. Could I have a second? Who made the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Could I have a second? Could I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, roll call.
Lynn made the motion, we'll put Park as a second. Okay, so this is to add 204, and again,
I think it's fair to say it's just an adoption of resolution 2023-204, and we'll prepare a resolution based upon the guidance provided on the record.
Thank you. I just noticed,
James? Yes. Tim?
No, we should be tabled. We need more time to digest this, because different opinion, different ideas going on. We need more time, so it's not now, it's not now.
Okay, Lynn?
Yes.
Park?
Yes.
Farah?
I want to be very clear that I feel we need a forensic audit to settle something if there's any suspicion of any wrongdoing, which I think that's what everybody would want, everyone in this room, every taxpayer, because there seems to be some kind of suspicion of a bad practice, something that was a mistake. So I am good with that, but I will not vote to waste taxpayers' money on another independent audit, will get us nowhere. So the answer is no. Thank you, it was my turn to
Oh, I'm
speak.
sorry,
Thank you. I don't need you to speak about my
I
opinion.
just have a question before you go. How do you know we need a forensic?
You're claiming that something has been done wrong. You usually bring in a forensic audit if you think that there's something done wrong. That's what they do. Independent audits just the audit of your complex, you have that already. So he's just gonna come in and do the same thing. There are different qualifications.
Is
A
that true?
forensic audit goes after you've done something wrong. So,
We're in the middle of the roll call vote.
Guys,
so I vote no.
Petrie,
My vote is no. I go along with Councilperson Ferrera for the forensic auditor. Also, the past few months, the mayor, certain council people are
Please don't attack
going
us.
through
Please don't attack us.
spending money all the time. We're going for this, we went for a forensic, not forensic, for remediation. We did that last year. Now we're doing it again. We're spending money here now. We're gonna spend money with this other one, with the ramification. My vote is definitely no.
you, go ahead.
By doing independent auditor or expertise hiring, we may save millions of dollars. You know
How?
that.
How?
Because
Tell
we
me
just
right
saved
here.
money.
I
Guys, we're
respect
done, we're
one.
done. Guys,
I
we're
respect
done.
one.
We're done,
How?
we're done
You're
voting
saying
again.
it, explain it.
Guys, there's a roll call. There-
You know,
Mayor,
I said
Yes,
millions of
yes.
dollars.
motion passes.
you know, I just wanna add that I agree with the so I'd like to say that we should have a
Let me ask-
forensic auditor
let me ask you a
rather
question.
than independent auditor. I just wanna add that.
Yeah, it's already in the record, don't worry, I'm recording this. The borough attorney agreed that they, with Cindy's suggestion that we need a forensic if we, may suspect. And that is okay, you're saying.
Mayor, I think the general issue is that every year you hire an auditor because you're required under state law to perform an audit. That auditor is independent because they have to be licensed as a professional. They don't work inside the borough hall. They come here once a year, they pull your files, they do the audit. As part of that process, the independent auditor found these issues that we're now discussing tonight. And I think the question is, do you want another firm to do the same exact audit that those folks did, which would be your typical independent audit? Or are you looking to have an auditor specifically look at this issue? I do think that it sounds like there's a general consensus that it's the latter. And, you know, without us having to vote, if everyone's okay with it, we can write the RFQ in a way that it
Yeah.
addresses this bond ordinance that's of concern, get someone on an hourly
Yes.
basis, and, you know, get some proposals for the governing body to
Thank you,
consider.
thank you, we'll do that.
Okay.
All right, resolution 2023-205, the borough attorney wants some clarifications concerning the received. Now, like you said, you kind of briefly explained about the RFQ and the RFP. Do you recommend that we should go for an RFP concerning the roof contractor?
So Mayor, if I may, and Mr. Attorney, in 2019, we had prepared a spec. Our borough engineer put together a spec for roofing replacement. The council at that time chose not to replace the roof. We still have that spec. I feel it's a good spec. The roof hasn't changed. The type of quality of material hasn't changed. I don't know that we need to go through that whole process again and pay the engineers and everybody to do it. We can just clean up the one we have or re-advertise it.
How long is the engineer report that we did?
I don't know what you mean by an engineer
You're
report.
talking about that we need an engineer's,
No, I'm talking about the specifications for the roof.
the specifications for the roof?
Yeah.
Okay, that the engineer provided with us.
That's correct. They prepared a specification.
How long ago?
2019, but we chose not to do the roof at that
I
time.
got it. So you think that since 2019, after 4 years, it's still okay to use it?
The roof conditions haven't changed.
Yes, it doesn't have.
Specification is okay, but,
Okay.
you know, contract should be, could be
So
different.
that bid, back in 2019, I think it's around September or October, right? The bidding was. So that spec, I think is still the same.
Nothing's
So
changed.
the whole,
Quality, the materials haven't changed.
yeah, so if we could save some, you know,
It's
time
about
and
5
money.
years.
See, thank you. The leak, the BA stated that the leak is not, has changed.
No, I didn't say anything about leak. I said the specifications haven't changed.
Haven't changed, got it.
I'm not talking about
Specification hasn't
conditions.
changed. So, I think we're okay, that we're gonna, comply with the GSE environmental consulting, to get that specification. If it's okay with you, we'll use it, but this resolution, we part of, yes, go ahead.
so the specifications, we needed the after service, no? Because
What
once
do you have to
everything
do?
is done, you know, and the maintenance
Yes, we'll definitely take care of the maintenance and stuff like that, when the new roof is there. I think this was pretty, clear and simple, that you would require an RFP or RFP.
This would be an RFP, Mayor.
B,
It has to be on a low bid basis. It's just like a general construction contract, so if you issue it, whoever bids the lowest is gonna be the winner, provided they qualify.
So this means that you're gonna put it into an RFP at OB, which requires that, that we hire the lowest bid. And also like you said, the special, privileged people also get into it as the female, owner of the company or something like that. There is a whole catch on it.
We're gonna comply with all state laws
Okay, good.
in advertising, regardless.
On that note, this might be a question for your administrator, but for bids of this nature, do you typically use your borough engineer to provide contract administration and administer the bids, or does your DPW director do that?
So generally, depending on the size and scope of the work, to be quite frank, we've never had any building projects that gone to that size. The last bids that we got in 2019 for the roof replacement were anywhere at $400,000, $500,000. So we never awarded it. Council at that time chose not to do the roof, hence where we are. But generally speaking, any road work, road improvement, major projects, they are administered through the engineer's office.
Yeah, on this one, Mayor, of that magnitude, you might be able to reuse the specifications, but I do believe that the borough engineer should be involved to, review qualifications of the bidders, and if the project is awarded, to make sure that, the project is done satisfactorily.
So who will execute this will be a bid or?
Somebody would have to prepare the bid documents. I would suggest that the borough engineer's office may be able to provide that.
I'll speak to the engineer tomorrow. Okay. He'll be at a meeting.
Are you guys okay with it?
Yeah, I think, they can prepare and then us, someone will do it. But the mayor, the members. And I was really hoping that, for more mediation amongst us, somebody who has knowledge about their area, here, like, committee, in special committee. I don't know.
Right, for the roof?
The whole remediation process.
Yes, the special committee, I believe I requested you guys. Cover the roof, are you talking about the roof, or are you talking about the whole, so you wanna suggest that we should create a special committee
Right.
concerning remediating the mold, and also concerning the fire codes?
Yes, so working with special people, but
Okay.
still.
More interested.
Timeline
Okay.
and,
Thank you.
have a flow, that's it.
Good, so is that, yes,
On that note, I'd like to, if you're bringing up about fixing the roof or going through the mold and asbestos, my opinion is we have to get the borough employees out of the building, because more and more people are coming in and they're saying that they want to do the work, but you still have all these borough employees, plus you have the public that comes in here, and we're not doing a thing about that. I think
Oh my
it's a
gosh.
disgrace.
how could you say we're not doing a thing? You know
You're
how
not
many meetings we
doing a
had?
thing because.
You know how many meetings
you
we had to go this
I
far?
don't care
How
how
far
many
did
meetings
you
you
go
had.
last year?
2 years.
You've been
trying to
doing
get
it for
these
2
people out of
years.
here. 2 years we've been trying to get these people out of here.
Oh, so
It
much
started
good.
off with 30, now
Okay,
we're
thank
up
you
to
very
over
much
50.
for your 100th speech.
Explain to me why
We're
you're
working on that
keeping
as we
these
speak.
people here.
Thank you.
Why are you
Thank
keeping
you.
these people here?
We're not.
Yes, you are.
We instructed the BA to do remote work.
Who? The BA?
Yes.
He's the one that's trying to get everybody out, and you are the one that keeps fighting us.
Okay, thank you very
All
much.
employees are working remotely. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I don't know what he's talking about. Everybody's working here, so please.
Everybody's working remotely.
We have a report.
All right, let's go. Let's go. The report is exactly the same as previous. It's not as worse. Thank you very much for your speech. Now, can we do with the resolution 2205? Okay. No, we have to vote on it, on an RFP, according to the, borough attorney. It requires following procedures and, abiding to the,
Providing direction to the administrator, the professionals, issue a request for bids for.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Just make a motion. Before we take that
Can I have
motion,
two?
I got a question.
There's a roll call.
Now we have discussion.
Okay, I have a question with the way.
First and a second in discussion, go ahead.
It says here, and I understand the spirit of what we're doing.
Can we just fix the damn roof?
Well, maybe, I don't know. It says here, for a new roof in the building as per the recommendations of GSC Industrial Hygiene. Is there a specific to what he wants in that report? Cause I didn't see anything about a roof specific, so.
Well, the
Are
roof
we
is-
advertising for a roof replacement? Or are we doing it, is GSC doing it involved in this matter?
If you wanna ask GSC, we could contact
GSC
them
not
after.
involved in here.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
That's it. So GSC
So
is not involved with the
Yes,
replacement? Okay, great.
GSC, on the report, GSC says, stop the leak, you know, that's the first thing that's.
Get the
first
certified
step.
roof for,
We
with
have
all the
to- we have to pay.
certifications.
We will follow along.
One last item, I'm not trying to put a fly in the ointment, I just wanna make sure we cover everything. BA, do you believe there's an ability for the CFO to certify and make a contract award for this type of an amount of contract? Or is that something that-
As far as I know, we do not have the money in the budget for this, so prior to the award of any bid, we would have to put a bond in place.
Where's our finance?
We do have a bond, he's on vacation. We
No,
do-
no, I asked Mary,
we do
and
have
Mary
a-
and Maria will come down to ask these questions.
Well, the bond that we passed back in May, that's the purpose of the renovation and,
Yeah, for
you
more
know, the
remediation.
building.
So there's been a bond passed for building restoration and the mold remediation. That also was to include any major renovations to the building. If you wanna use that, I highly suggest that you speak to your CFO and your auditor to not have the problem where we just went back into where it's taking it for one bond and not another. Then make sure we can in fact take the money, and if you'd like, I could speak to the auditor and see if he's okay.
I would, auditor?
What is he
And the
about?
roofing is why not the remediation of mold.
The auditor.
I think you'd have to go to your bond counsel to confirm that the purposes of the bond position.
Guys, right now, there's a first and a second right now, go ahead.
You know, being a councilman, like being a leader, is always hard. Because we always have to make a decision after decision after decision. I only can tell how I feel and what, you know, I think is what's best way. So, I'm not saying the other, councilman is wrong, I'm saying they have a reason why they are saying that way, and I have my reason why they're saying this way. Now, first thing we should do is, we should evacuate all the employee out of this building.
It's been,
You know, the problem is, the money cannot replace the safety and the health of our employment.
we all agree,
Yeah.
all agree.
So, what will happen is, roofing is good idea, fixing it, but it could be a Band-Aid too. What if anything goes wrong? It's a problem. So, before we wait for the next thing happen, we should move to another location and have all the employees to another one, and then fix all those things.
You know what?
I know the other council members are worried about the money. I worry about the money as well, but there are some things that you cannot replace. Put the money on it.
I got it, but we all agreed to get the trailers, and then now we're about to go to the
A
trailers.
trailer is only for the
Okay.
policeman. How about
You
the
know what,
other employees?
how many people are working around on this borough, the BA?
How many people are in the borough every day?
Yeah, we're working, you're supposed to work at home, and
Well,
everybody was supposed to do that
Mayor,
this
that
weekend.
sounds good,
Yeah.
but the documents that we need to access are in the building.
So
So,
why not? Why can't you access
how
it?
could she take home all the files?
It's called ghosting, you ever called, what is that
So all the
application?
paper files that aren't on
It's in your
electron-
computer, you could ghost. You just scroll online your computer.
Mayor, you have no idea what you're talking about. The building department has all their files paper. My office has all files paper. How do you expect me to retrieve these files and do work?
Well, how
if I
come
can't
your
pay the
building
money?
department, how come you don't provide some preventative, remedies?
Well, it's been like that for 25 years.
Well, thank
Like,
God
I'm
someone
talking about
recognizes it
today.
right
I'm
now.
talking about today.
Yeah.
So the answer is, we have to come into the building to access.
How about
the
some
funds.
mass, how about letting everybody know that we have a situation?
Okay, but we did. So if they don't wear
We
masks.
did, I did.
Okay.
You told me that you wanted to leave.
Let's go back to the initial question. People have to come to the building to
Guys,
get information.
guys, this has no relevance
Order
right now
everybody out of the
about being a
building.
roof contractor. Let's,
Well, he doesn't wanna hear the answer.
Roll
The
call,
answer is
please.
we have to come into the
That's
building.
across
Oh,
the
you know what, before roll call, you have a very good idea, okay? You said you wanted to allocate some space, some of the police officers who are concerned about, you know, some options that we could take. The swimming pool is open, it's, right now, you can facilitate people to work there as well.
There's no water.
There's no air conditioning,
There's
there's
no,
no,
and there's no water.
how come there's no water in there?
Because the water is an outside unit and it gets removed at the end of the season.
Can't have water.
You shut off the water?
The water has to be shut
No,
off.
they
otherwise it'll
remove the
freeze.
meter, they don't just shut it off. They literally
It
shut it
cannot be
off
occupied
and
during the
remove the meter because of
We can
the freezing
open the
conditions.
water, there's no problem.
Where's the heat?
We can make the heat system.
How do you make the heat?
Mr. Mark.
Okay, let's move on. All right, roll call, please. On 205.
Yes, point of clarification, authorize the borough engineer to prepare the plan of size for repair of the roof replacement, and for the borough clerk to advertise the same in the Joint Secrets, okay? Motion made by Min, seconded by Clark, I will do a roll call, this is, resolution 205. James? Yes. Kim?
Yes, if I move all the employees to another office.
Noted. Min?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Para?
I also feel that employees need to be moved from this building. So I will vote to have the roof replacement, not that I'm really 100% sure, considering all of the other infiltration that happens in this building. It could be actually an incredible waste of money. Again, I know that my 33 years of doing these kind of projects, 27 stories, multi-million-dollar projects, makes me no expert. But I surely know what happens. The same way when I'm told that you all can stay here, and in 6 months everything will be remedied, but the minute you open a ceiling and a wall, and there's anything behind it that is asbestos related, or more than is seen, which is in every project I've ever done, that it can't be. So it concerns me and it worries me. We have a lot of lawsuits already, everybody's worried about money, everybody should be really worried about what all the lawsuits are gonna cost this town. Because we're not even allowed to really discuss anything, not really. I come here and I try to give real information, whether it's about a forensic auditor or about experience of years working on projects of this nature, and it just goes on deaf ears. A decision's already made, so the truth is, I might as well abstain, because my vote really doesn't matter anyway. At this point, my vote, my experience, my opinion, it's really not of anybody's concern. I do care for the well-being of everybody sitting in this room and the people that walk in this building every day. I do care about doing this the right way, whether it is remediation. I've never said we had to knock the building down and move to we need now, we're at a point where there's no return. It did get drug on for a very long time. It's very unfortunate. But we have to be sure everybody's safe. I don't think it's right for any of, these gentlemen aren't sitting in this room because they just came here to see us tonight. I'm sure they could have lived without that. They're here because they come to work every day, all of these officers, and they're concerned for their health, and their small children at home that they have to go to home every night to. And they don't wanna find out in 6 months that they have some type of cancer or something that's gonna change their life forever, because this group of people couldn't take into consideration their well-being and the fairness to them. Not just about what anybody wants to do, or they've made their decision, or the cheapest way. So you really are the rudest individual I've ever met. Stop puffing. I have a right to say what I want.
Yeah.
And you say what you want, and I have a right, excuse me, I'm not talking to you. I have a right to say what I want, and I'm letting everyone here know how I feel. I think after 25 years, I deserve enough of that respect. I have fought for a lot of good things in this town, okay, and went against it. But you want to huff every time anyone else speaks and doesn't agree. I try to bring decent, good information here, and it's disrespected in every way. And I apologize to all of you who work in this building. I do apologize for having to sit here and be part of knowing that that could happen to everyone, and every one of you are or maybe just one of you. Because one of you to become ill or something's happened to you, that's all it has to be is one. Nobody deserves that.
I tested positive for mold.
Right.
And so many others.
Stephanie?
I'm abstaining.
I'm voting no. The reason why I'm voting no, if they're gonna do any work in this building, there must be a way that these people that work here and the public that comes in here are not susceptible to getting sick or whatever. So until they decide to get these people out of here, my vote is no.
Motion passes.
Okay, I want to add to this that none of us here think health is second issue. It's first. We all decided, majority of the votes decided that we get the report, and we're working on a trailer for the police department. So far, for the past 2 years or more, no one reacted. We even had a rooftop to be addressed last year or a year after that, and it was almost approved, someone dropped the ball.
You voted no.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you were a councilman. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why?
Because then you were in agreement with anything the VA said. So now that's changed, correct?
But so did you. Don't you always change? You always
No, I
change,
don't.
you?
No, I
Oh, yes,
don't.
you do.
I
Oh,
don't.
yes, you do.
I know what's right. I don't just kiss somebody's butt who thinks I should.
I don't
And you're
kiss
right.
anybody's
You
butt.
guys are 100% right.